This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everybody. I saw a post on social this morning that blew me away. And it was from a brewery, and they had a picture of a bunch of people, and it was called Brews and Books. And there in the picture, there had to be at least 20 people, basically a book club at the brewery, holding the book up that they're reading. But here's the mind blow. They were all different ages. Anywhere from it looked like maybe somebody was in their low 20s to somebody that was in their around 70 or and above, all getting together. What it says to me is reading is back again, reading books, but specifically tangible books. Yeah, it's great. An audiobook is fantastic, especially if you're busy and going to the gym and want to, absorb something from a book or Kindle, but physical books. Have you thought about writing a book? Is it in your head? Where do you start? How do you do that? We're going to learn that today. She is the president of Trellis Publishing and has helped people walk this journey. Mary DuBois is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
So good to have you back here. I have to believe probably half of us have thought about maybe writing a book, whether it's fiction or not. Certainly many different ideas when it comes to fiction, but even on the other side, if it's a nonfiction book, there are so many people out there that are, let's say a doctor who wants to boost his credibility, and a lot of credit comes with saying, yeah, I wrote a book on this, and then give it to a prospective patient, or even just have it in the waiting room of the office. So many different things. Do you hear from people that they have ideas for books, but they're afraid to move forward because they don't know how to do it?
All the time. And quite frankly, sometimes people are even afraid to share their idea because they think once they say it out loud, someone's going to steal it from them. But quite frankly, it takes so much time and energy to write a book. I don't think people have to worry about that. I think really it's a matter of setting your goal and what you want to do. You mentioned a doctor might want to increase credibility. Anyone who's a speaker might have a full audience right in front of them lots of times when they give speeches, and they could do a book and have it as what we call in the trade back of the room sales. So you could sell to your people who are there listening to you speak, and it does increase your credibility. But sometimes it even starts with an idea for fiction. It could be even a family history that some people want to speak. But I'm reminded of a time when I heard Tony Hillerman talk to a bunch of us writers, and he gave a great speech, and he even held up his hand and used his hand as an example. And I remember his 5 points to get how to get published to this day. And his first point was start writing the book. So that's
I want to, even before we go to the rest of the 5, let's take it step by step. Here's my question for you. How do you know it's got merit? So, and I'm going to be personal here. I have a friend, I've been doing radio since I was a kid. Like, there's a lot of stories there, I guess. I have a friend who, kind of the same situation. He wrote a book a few years ago, and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I'll do that. But then I wonder, is it going to pass my who gives a blank test? Like that's what I call it. Is anybody really going to care? Is it going to be motivating? Is it going to be interesting? How do you answer that question if you're somebody that just has an idea for a book?
I think that's actually a very good question. And some people go the opposite. They think everybody's going to want to read their book. And the answer is no. If you have a book idea in mind, if you think about your market and you have particular expertise, such as you do, for example, on podcasts and how to start podcasts, it would be a perfectly legitimate, very easy book for you to write.
Well, I never even thought of that. Thank you for that idea. I'm going to put that down. I was thinking more of like the silly stories of along the way. Interviewing Rod Stewart. It was a 38-second interview. He hung up on me. There's a story behind it.
Oh, no.
Like things like that. Or the very first time I started broadcasting, I was 17, professional job, live broadcast. I'm at the beach holding the wireless microphone. I'm in, up to my knees in water. We're broadcasting live. A bunch of kids come and tumble me, again, I'm 17, into the water
Oh,
with the broadcast equipment, blah, 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 off the air. Like
oh
silly, but I guess you could blend it into even information of, how to start a podcast, how to get into the broadcast area, whatever it might be.
no. It's such a book with true life stories and funny anecdotes and even sad ones, I'm sure, that have happened along the way, would be of interest to lots of people. You know what you could do, and what I would tell listeners to do is start a draft and try it out with your friends and family and get some feedback from them and see what they say.
Hmm.
Because it might very well have a lot of merit in reaching a broader audience. And you'll find that out by
Hmm.
trying it out with people.
Well, look at major companies before they do anything. They test market things. So this is kind of your test market. So, okay. So out of the five fingers, number
Okay,
one is start writing.
start writing and carve out time to do that and keep your
Hmm.
regular job while you do it.
Sure.
And get that draft going. Um, then his second uh, step was finish the book. In other words, come to a conclusion. Otherwise, you're going to write a 3,000 page novel, which no one will want to read. So get some steps in your mind about how long you want it to be. And when you reach your conclusion, finish the book. His third step was very interesting, I thought. He said, resist the urge to rewrite the book for the rest of your life. In other words, stop editing it. Do a few edits, but if you edit and keep editing, what you're actually doing is writing 5 books instead of 1 book. And I thought that for me was very good advice
Hmm.
to just stop editing it eventually and call it complete and turn it over to perhaps other editors if you want someone else to polish.
Well, I've often heard that too. You can't edit your own book. Certainly, you can make some tweaks to it, but the real editing, don't try this if you wrote it.
Absolutely. It's sort of like if you do children's books, doing the art for the cover. No, have an artist do the art for the cover. As a matter of fact, if you have a children's book and you have an artist doing the drawings in the book, that's not the same artist who should do the book cover because that's a very different skill about how to sell books with book
Oh,
cover designers.
oh, $50 tip from Mary. Wow, okay.
Yes,
Interesting. Hmm.
yes. And then after that third step of resisting the urge to edit the book for the rest of your life, step number 4, put it on the market. And this is where authors today get quite lost because there's so many ways to bring your book to the world. There's the physical way, like you talked about with the actual physical book that we have in our hands.
Sure.
Uh, and there's the digital world. There's the self-publishing world in which you can do your book and have people order it from Amazon or the many other sources. There's the audio books. So technology is a wonderful thing, but it can also be overwhelming about how to put your book on the market. So here's what I would tell people. If your story is a fiction book or your book you think is going to be um, something of interest to agents and publishers, why not start there instead of starting by putting it out there in the world right away? Why not find out who's publishing what? And people can do that by looking at a book called The Literary Marketplace.
Hmm.
And you can go to the library and look at it. And I'll tell you what, librarians are great resource people, and they'll take you to the Literary Marketplace book that they have in the resource section. And it's very thick and it's very expensive. And it tells you all the various publishers that there are and what they like to publish. And it even gives you hints about how
Wow.
to submit your stuff to those publishers, like
Wow.
who's doing children's books, for example, or who's doing cookbooks these days, those kinds of things. Who's doing nonfiction animal books? You can find so many classifications of books in the literary marketplace and also agents.
Mm.
So you can find out the address of agents and how to submit your book to agents. And so I would suggest that people start there for step number 4, putting their book on the market, going to the literary marketplace and finding out who's out there, how to submit your stuff. And even if you have books that you enjoy, look at the acknowledgement page. Sometimes people thank their agents.
Mm.
And so you could find out who's agenting certain kinds of books. And then his last step was keep it on the market until it sells. So those are your 5 steps from Tony Hillerman about how to get published.
You are just chock full of ideas. My gosh. Wow. I want to share with everybody. We talked about this before, but just to illustrate how you can write something and it have longevity. Impatient Pamela calls 911.
Yes, I flashed this up here a moment
I
ago.
saw that. Yeah. And that's something that you wrote. I'm thinking, was it 20 years ago or more?
25 years ago, and you could tell from the wrinkles on my face.
Yeah. And it's continued, it's taken other forms. It's been used to educate children about making emergency phone calls. It's taken on many different lives of its own along the way. But this is just to illustrate you could come up with an idea, publish a book, and 25 years later, people still talking about it.
Absolutely. And this is a kind of book that we call in the niche market. So if you can find a niche for whatever you are doing and no one has tackled that yet, that is perfect. One book that my publishing company did was disc golf, how to play disc golf. And we were the first book on how to play disc golf. And the author was a California dude, and he had many, many dudes in the book. We had to edit out lots of dudes. But we kept a few because that was his voice, and it was such a wonderful book about how to play disc golf.
Uh,
And it was the first one. And Impatient Pamela Calls 911, there were brochures about children calling, but this was the first book. And I've often heard the advice you can be either first or best. I always like to think that we were the best. And so if you know about something, you're an expert about something, and you've been looking for a book, why not write it? And if it's a niche market, maybe it's, for example, about a color theory. You can then sell that in art supply stores,
sure.
not necessarily bookstores. So really think outside the box about where your book could sell, and then devise a marketing plan about how to get those places to stock and sell your book.
Color theory, there's one. It could be in paint stores. It could be for interior designers. It could be for the interior designer themselves, or they could give that book or suggest it to their clients so the clients better understand color so they can better support them. Like on and on and on. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, lobbies of art history places or art galleries and all kinds of places where you can find things specific to that expertise.
So let's do fact or myth. Somebody says to you, Mary, you did a children's book. There's so many. The market is saturated. Children's books, myth or fact?
Well, there's a little bit of both in there. It is indeed saturated. Lots of people are writing books now because we can, and lots of people are bringing them to the world because we can, and it's that sort of a world now. But that doesn't mean that your book is out there or that your idea is properly shown. You might be having a unique voice and something that has not yet been heard. And so, if you're talented, then that talent should indeed be brought to the world. I would never discourage someone with the idea that no, we don't need that, or we don't need that kind of voice, because you never know until you give voice to something
Yeah.
if there's a market for it.
There is something about the cover. I'm looking at it now of Impatient Pamela Calls 911. To your point of having somebody else do the cover, I don't know what it is, but it grabs me. There's something, a certain energy, the layout. I don't know what it is, but there's something there. There's something
Thank
there.
you. Thank you. That's very kind. And what we ended up doing was we did a whole series of Impatient Pamela books. And then the book cover designer designed color bands around the top and the bottom. So let's say it's sitting on a library shelf. The spine is going to reflect that color. It's going to be in a bookstore. If you have more than one of your titles there, it's going to match the other books. And so that's the importance of getting a book cover designer, even though he used the art from the book. And recently, when I just now redid my book, and it's now a third edition, we changed the technology because back 25 years ago, Impatient Pamela pressed buttons on the telephone. Now, children need to use cell phone technology to
Yeah.
make a safety call. And so you can still take your great idea and change it with the times.
Mm. Yeah, I'm focusing on that book for a moment because it has such longevity.
Thank you.
When you started writing it, did you have any intrepidations? Did you say, I don't know, why am I doing this? Go back in your mind. What was it like?
Well, I think it's pretty natural to question yourself and to wonder what's going to happen because in those days, those many years ago, I came out with a printed version. And then, of course, I started my business, Trellis Publishing, and then I had to get a distributor. So I got national distribution. And this is all a lot of work. And so along the way, I thought, oh gosh, is this money well spent? And is this something that I really want to do? And I will say that not very long ago, just as COVID was happening, I heard from a newspaper in Walla Walla, Washington, there was a little boy there, 5 years old, who had just heard Impatient Pamela being read at the library. And he called 911 and saved his mother from choking, excuse me,
Wow.
from the
Oh my
diabetic.
God.
Uh, and so she had gone into a coma. He remembered that was the number he could call, and he saved her life. And he was getting an award from the mayor. Isn't that wonderful? And so
Wow.
to me, it cost me money to start my company. And it was a question along the way, but once it was a reality, and my book was a reality, and it's been translated now into a couple of different languages where Pamela calls different numbers because, of course, different countries have different safety systems. I haven't questioned it because it
Mm,
really did. Once it won the National Parenting Center seal of approval, I was like, okay,
mm,
that was a good idea.
mission accomplished. And let's help others do it. Do you
Yeah.
think there's ever a place for impatient Pamela to do other things like impatient Pamela becomes a sister? So she's waiting for the baby to be born and all that stuff that goes along with it and the thoughts, the emotions, and all of that. Like one example.
Oh, right, because you've probably taken a look at Impatient Pamela Wants a Bigger Family,
I
which
didn't see that. Get out
you
of here.
didn't? Oh, wow, that's
We're thinking the same here. I'm on Amazon and I clicked your name, the author,
oh.
and maybe I missed it. I didn't even know that.
Yes, well, I
Huh.
think that one's been out of press now for a while, so probably that's why you don't see it. But Impatient Pamela Wants a Bigger Family, and then Impatient Pamela Asks, Why Are My Feet so huge? That one was about self-acceptance and body acceptance of girls
Mm,
and women, and so that was a fun one to do.
well,
Um, so one thing can then lead to another thing. And right now, I have an agent in Australia who's kind of taking a look at seeing if we can get the series on a television sort of thing. So you never know where it's going to go. Yeah.
totally, totally. What's your advice for somebody that's watching us, listening to us? They're pondering the idea. They have a couple of things, percolating in the back of their mind. Maybe they're not quite there yet to pull the trigger or even start writing or even share their thoughts with family members as a
Yeah.
test. Um, what's your advice to them?
Um, I would say don't close off the idea and explore it, explore the idea. I would also advise authors not necessarily to go with the first publishing house that, let's say, wants you to pay them money for you to get your book to the world, do some very serious comparative shopping. If you're going digital and you want to bring your book to the digital world.
Mm.
So I would say take some time, let your ideas percolate, but don't close them off. Think about them, and they can always contact me. For example, they can email me at trellis2@aol.com, and I'll help. And there will be other people who help as well. I've only discouraged ever one person from doing their book. Uh, but I encouraged her to think of other ideas and other ways to bring her creativity to the fore. So that would be one bit of advice I would have. And and don't rush. Take your time and decide really seriously where your book fits into the world so that you can analyze your market. Because writing it, if you're not going with another publisher and you're going to do the publishing yourself, you're going to print it and someone tells you you can make a lot of money selling your books on Amazon and such, you have just begun the work of marketing and the budget of the marketing. So you have to get your book out to the world, but you also have to get it in the hands of customers, and that takes a marketing budget. So come up with a nice big plan.
So I always write on the side of positivity. Final question today. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people writing their first book make?
I think following too many rules. You know, if we were to look at A Tale of Two Cities right now, and that first line, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, that would fail right now because you're not supposed to have that kind of language to start. So you're not supposed to be inactive and use was. So you'll be given lots of rules. Let's say
I didn't even know that.
you join a writers group, a local writers group. That's always good advice. To
Mm,
listen to other people going through this same struggle. You're not
sure.
alone. They're like you saw people are reading. They're also in writers groups. And
I have a marketing company. They contacted me. The one in my area, New York area, there is an authors group, and they actually wanted me to come and speak about marketing in general. They're around. They're there. Yeah, seek them out.
they're in all the coffee shops and libraries and people's homes. And I joined one to start, and so they can be very, very helpful. Although, let me tell you this, here's a great piece of advice. Sometimes they can be so critical that it can stop you in your creative tracks.
Mm.
And so a bit of advice is Confucius says, don't remove a fly from your friend's forehead with an axe. They can be so critical that they can just smash all your creativity. And that would not be good. Then find yourself a different writer's group.
Yeah, I mean everything taken with a grain of salt. Process it. Don't live by it, but knowledge is power. Little nuggets of information.
Yeah, take
Everything
what you can from
you
that.
offer is amazing. Just you get to it. You like I love your energy.
Oh,
Fantastic.
thank you.
Um, got to be a joy to work with you on a book too. How do we connect with you? What do you think is the best way? If somebody's got some questions, want to feel it out, maybe bounce an idea off you, Mary. How do we find you?
Uh, Email me at trellis2, Trellis, and the number two at AOL.com. Yes, I was an early adapter and I stayed there. And
Too much
um,
work to change it. Come
and
on.
it is. It's like changing banks. Oh
And
my
all
God.
right. Oh my God, I'm in the middle of that right now. And I put it off for a year. So many people know you from one address. So it's yeah, I totally get it. No
And then,
judgment.
and then put in the subject line book advice or something like that, something about a book. Put the word book in the subject line,
Sure.
and I will answer you.
Thank you for today. You are truly refreshing. I in the back of my mind, I was like, I wonder if I could do a book, whatever. Maybe someday. I think myself and others, you got us fired up a little bit there.
Oh, I think you should do it.
I can find the time, but there's always time.
Take a half an hour a day.
Right?
That's all. Just a half an hour. You don't have to do it hours and hours and every weekend. Just do a half an hour a day. And pretty soon you will have several hours into that book.
Yeah. Or even just jot down the ideas. There's one that can be incorporated in a full book. And then let's see what you got. And then maybe take the
Sure.
next step. Here
Little
we go.
tracks.
Start writing. There's step number one.
Step number one, start writing that book.
Beautiful. Mary, thank you so much for being here today. Happy holidays, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.